Hi everyone, welcome. It's Lavender Sky Panther. It is Sunday, July 2nd, 2023. We're already skipping into July 3rd where I'm at. So yes, I am once again recording this in the wee hours. Seems to be the only time I can get these longer sky shows out. So bear with me if I'm a bit sluggish, and I may leave a lot more up to all of you to really detect and find in some of these images. As always, I'm going to highlight a few things in each frame and analyze them and break it down, some of these scenes. And see what else you can find. I always invite you to see what you see in these things. So anyway, if you are new, welcome. If you are returning, welcome. Big, hearty, and heartfelt thanks to all of you. And let's get into this show. Lots of exciting things, anomalies happening all the time, day and night. So let's see what we've got this time. This I'll just let you know. We'll cover it in more detail up in the show, but this is supposed to be the sun. We've got these weird stick-like things projecting off of it. This looks like a corkscrew kind of vapor trail behind a craft, and I will show you more detail on this soon. All right, this is the cover slide I'm going with today. If you follow my show at all, you know I like to have alternate cover slides sometimes, and we'll get into this too. You'll see the original and the enhancement progression when we get to it. And, if you're returning, just earmuffs a bit if you don't want to hear this again. But if you're new, I do what's called original photos and enhanced photos. And the original speaks for itself. The enhanced version is just taking the existing photo and editing attributes of that photo by just upping or lowering certain traits or characteristics in the photo, such as color, saturation, brightness, contrast, maybe a little sharpness and warmth, and that's about it. And so you'll see what I mean coming up if you're not already familiar with what I do. All right, so let's get into this. So here we go. We are going to kick it off with actually May 18th. Okay, looking west. And actually, pardon me this time around, I probably am going to try to fly through this show just because I really am feeling tired and I want to get this kicked out today because I've got other photos to catch up on for next show as well. All right, so bear with me on it all. So here we go. Left-hand side is the original, as you can see. Right-hand is the enhanced version. And already we start to see something very odd, if you look at the right-hand side, happening at B.1. Something very straight and level happening over at A.1 here, and something really weird happening at B.1 here. So let's keep looking at some enhancements. And here we go. This is sticking out like a sore thumb, really. We look to the right. Look at this thing. We could say, well, what's going on here? Clearly, it's an object of some type, cloaking, kind of in and out of state. Actually, if you look on the left-hand side, we even see a pure triangle. So when we come to the right, we see this triangle, and actually there is a grouping of triangles. So in this particular one, it got my interest going enough that it's like, okay, we're going to have to do some sketch overlays on this thing and show the geometries of it. So I'm going to zoom in one more time before I get to the overlays. But even if you just follow my cursor here, this is kind of looking like an iron shape. Like if you iron your clothes, the bottom of an iron, a handheld iron, with something like coming over the front of it. So a lot of times when I start doing these, sketch overlays and pulling out the geometries, a lot of times it just seems like many different possible geometric shapes that are symmetrical are happening in any one of these scenes. Here we start to see, several triangular shapes right next to each other, and down here as well, the point of a triangle with straight lines. So here we go. These are where I see these little triangles at the bottom, even one up over here where I'm making the circle with my cursor. And then here's what I mean. I can pick out some perfect geometries any number of ways. It's hard to tell if like this more elliptical thing is happening in front and some of these are happening beyond, or vice versa. So I'm just showing them kind of interlaced right now until we can, get any more clarity on these things in the future. But many of them just have this kind of elusive, overlaid quality where this could be a triangle or it could be the ellipse, something happening in front of the other, behind each other. So it's really kind of hard to pick out sometimes. So that's why I say, see what you see. This could just be one big odd-looking figure in front of one behind, or maybe things are just playing tricks on us and this is just one, continuous kind of object. But I have a feeling we're watching something that's one in front of the other. All right, so just again for fun, see what you see in this scene. This is just what I'm readily picking out. It's by no means everything going on in any given photo. I just kind of hit the highlights. You're sure to find more things, like there's weird little things happening back in here. here as well. Like when I do this, this could be part of a bigger triangle happening beyond. Lots of possibilities here. So these are just kind of educated best guesses. It looks like a triangle's back over here too. So anyway, take some time. You may find a lot of things in here. Have fun doing it. Have fun looking around. All right, so here we go. Here's another scene looking west, and I forget where I am or going around town, but anyway, I travel around the greater Miami area. So anyway, it's just looking west, and here we go. This one gets exciting. So, you know, at first glance, this doesn't look like much, does it? It's like, what? It's just kind of a, you know, storm clouds or something developing, even though it's strange how these are developing and fanning out. Those aren't like natural clouds. I've grown up in this area and never have I, you know, seen stuff like this in the past decades until recently. So anyway, at first it's just kind of a sea of so what, right? Well, we're going to start to see something very interesting. Look at this over at 8.1, okay? There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here, but I'm just going to pull out a couple highlights. Watch 8.1. Look at that. You know, I see definitely, it's not a perfect shape. It's just kind of a rough overlay. I'm not getting precise with these sketch tools on this, but you get the idea. You know, we've got more or less straight lines. It looks like the back end or the bow of a ship, where the point here would be, I'm sorry, the stern, and the back, where the point over here to the right would be the bow. Oops, sorry, hang on. So there we go. So I'm just kind of seeing this shape emerging, and it's weird because it looks like it's being held up by this burst of energy going vertical. And as I've always said in the other shows, we're never going to have a natural cloud formation that's going to have one object coming one way across, perpendicular, you know, to other movement in quote-unquote cloud. So this to me clearly is something camouflaging back in these things. These are even looking triangular, both of them, and they're looking very similar. So it's almost like these are pedestals or things that are propping this bigger thing up. And we could also speculate any number of when we say theories of what could be going on in here. And as I've said before, I would love to see these cloaking craft without all the quote-unquote smoke and mirrors, so we can see exactly what's going on here. There, even if you follow my cursor, looks like a triangular form here. So once again, I talk about this kind of overlay, elusive layering of objects, you know, one in front of the other. So this could be like a triangular form sitting slightly ahead of this other, you know, form here. Anyway, see what you see. There's a lot of weird stuff even over here. We've got rigid forms. It's just really bizarre. So we're going to keep going, though. And this is just reducing it down, you know, without anything. That's that shape. Then look at this down here. We got these weird, you know, curves. They're, you know, they're a little bit concentric, but splaying out. But again, no natural cloud would have like these prongs, you know, to it. So definitely there's much more than meets the eye going on in this scene. See what you see. All right, now we're looking east toward the evening. This caught my attention because once again, these are all artificial clouds. Cumulus clouds of yore don't look like this in this area of Miami. These are also incredibly low in the sky, and these days they're just forming on the spot vertically, and then they expand out. And that never happened in the past. You know, we had weather that would be quote-unquote cumulus clouds. They'd be big, fluffy clouds, and they'd move along with the breeze. Well, our breeze pretty much stopped here. As far as I know, it would have been around 2012-ish. And I think they called it the East Gulf Current that just suddenly stopped. And I've noticed that keenly, you know, I've been keenly aware of that in our area, because we live near a coast, and there used to always be afternoon breezes all the time. Now it's like dead still, you know, for many years now. It's just been dead still in the area, and which is unheard of, you know, by the coast. And you can almost count it on your hand how many times you can really feel the breeze again during the whole year. So it's really bizarre. Anyway, because of that, there's no way we could have two totally different cloud systems forming really local, really low in the sky, if there's not some type of anomalies going on or cloaking craft. So, I mean, look at this straight line coming down an angle to a totally different other cloud system, and yet they're both in the same exact vicinity and more or less in the same altitude in the sky, extremely low and locally formed. This stuff just forms out of nowhere. It just appears. And again, that's not how typical clouds used to come and go in our, you know, in our world in the past decades. Hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. When I step away, I'm just clearing my voice. So here we go. We're going to look at this with some enhancement. And look how bizarre. Look at the color signatures on this thing. Why is all of this like suddenly turned reddish while this stays golden or white? It makes no sense, even from a light physics standpoint, especially keeping in mind we are looking east, kind of not after sunset, but far enough along that we should not see a bright light source just over in this corner, looking east. This is more to the north. So something really bizarre is going on here. We're going to zoom in. Actually, if you follow my cursor at 2.1, we're going to zoom in on this section of the scene. And we just see strange shapes. These aren't anything typical to, cloud formations. And look at these stick-like things. There's a lot of weird things going on in question. Even this, we've got some kind of form with a stick. I mean, that's an actual pipe piece. So we know we're dealing with technology of some type camouflaged in these quote-unquote clouds. And I'm just really blowing out the contrast on purpose to see we've got like a rectilinear shape, a rectangle, or a square-like shape here. And other weird, lines and things that would not happen in natural, organic clouds. Here too, we got a straight line going down here. So we're going to zoom back out a bit to look at the overall scene. If you look on the left-hand side, we start to see a clear triangle, lots of little ones too at D and C. So we look to the right, see the outer tracing of a triangle, another one down here at C.1 and A.1. You can see them clearly where it's, the darker color. So now we're just going to zoom in on this one area, and this gets real interesting. So that was the first obvious triangle here at A.2. But then we start to see other, kind of textures and things. This is starting to look like the word just triad comes to mind, but we got like 3 points. It looks like a craft of some type. So anyway, we're going to look at this with enhancement, and look at this. We start to, again, something's being cloaked up here in A.3 for sure. What the heck is this thing at D.3? We got clear lines. This is a perfect curve. I mean, it's hard edges. No way is that any type of natural cloud there. So we're dealing with cloaking objects or cloaking craft. I think these are even little pipes, little, we're looking at the ends of little pipes here, these two parallel lines. And then, we start to see something emerging here. It's clearly cloaked, but we start to see things with rigid structure and straight lines to them with shadows below. So we're going to take a deeper look at that, more detailed look. And then C.3. Again, we're holding true with looks like 2 wings going down and maybe, a tail up in the back if we're looking at the front of a craft. And also look at the color signatures. So these are staying like a smoky, burnt umber color, all over here. And we get warmer tones, happening beyond. And here, even if you look over here, this looks like, the end of 2 pipes or openings here as well. So there's enough here to tell me we're dealing with, advanced engineering of some type, whether it is human-made, ET-made, or, collaboration. I think everything is possible here. All right, so let's look. We're going to zoom in. We're saying we have these straight lines with shadows to them. This is a craft of some kind being, coming in and out of the cloaking. You look at these little tufts of weird blur outs. That's cloaking material. I'll call it plasma for now, just implying or meaning something heavier or denser than just water vapor that makes clouds. This stuff is heavier and thicker, and it sticks and clings to objects and camouflages them very well. So again, we have straight lines. I'm going to do some sketch overlays in a minute, or I've done them, you'll see in a second. And then here I could swear, I know this came up in one of my prior shows, covering some photos coming in from somebody from Australia, some great photos. And anyway, we even could pick out alien forms, like a person piloting the craft. And I'm getting that feeling again that this could be, looking at a silhouette of a head and like an arm coming up to the forehead or something. And this looks like the top of a head with 2 eyes. So I'm just thinking we might have actually little beings or big beings that we're catching back here as well. I think it's more than a case of pareidolia. But anyway, we'll zoom in and see what you see in these scenes. But regardless, look at, we got these 2 arched perfect curves. They look like the end, almost like the end of a barrel of a gun or a pig's nose, They look like nostrils, but they're perfect in form with a clear rim around them and even like a lip on that rim around the darker, openings. And then here again, we're holding true. We got straight lines, on this thing that looks like a triangular shaped craft, and the straight lines over here. So let's look with some bleaching out, putting brightness on the overall photo on purpose, so I can, trace over the lines and see what I'm seeing a little bit better. So I'm going to go back up, I'm going to toggle back and forth just so you can maybe see what I'm seeing. And again, see how perfect these straight lines are parallel to each other. You're not going to have that in an organic cloud formation. No way. So these are objects. We're looking at objects. There's minimum 3 here. I mean, there are tons all over in this scene. These are just ones I'm focusing on. And I don't know if you can see it. Again, this looks like a head bent forward with a little arm, going up to the, almost like a salute. This person or thing, being could be facing us and saluting, or looking to this other little being and waving, or just, putting the hand to the head in a moment. I don't know. But see if you see that. Anyway, that's what I'm getting for this. But I'm clearly getting these shapes. Okay. And on this one, this could be another piece, is like the cockpit facing us, and the thing that I just showed you is just like the overall craft there. All right, but clearly D.4, we've got triangular shape. I just drew a straight line for now for ease, but it is kind of bent. There's a little bit of camber to it. So as I always ask, look at all the color signatures. Again, it's odd that this is in the same altitude and it's perfectly straight and pure white, by comparison to like golden tones and everything going on around it. Same thing here, it's got a little more white tone compared to everything else around it. And in here too, like these pipes. This could even be like a line. It looks like this figure or something is kind of passing through it. So again, there's a very elusive interdimensional quality or overlaying of planes when we look at some of this stuff. The more you look, the more you'll find. Like already I'm picking out another triangular shape here. Have fun digging around and see what you can see in this on your own time too. All right. So, I forgot I had one more, zooming in on this B.5, where I thought these looked like little beings. So once again, this looks like a head to me, with like an arm coming up to touch the forehead or something. And to me, this looks like the perfect top of a head, a more conical head with 2 eyes popping up. So like it's like 2 pilots, one over here and a craft beyond, and this one in the front. And they're kind of like waving to each other or something. That's what I get. See what you see. All right, now this is looking east, and this just looks strange. Got perfect kind of truncated triangular form, symmetrical in shape, sitting on like a kind of stick with little pipes coming out, and it has nothing to do in relationship to this thing. And in no way, shape, or form is that a traditional cloud form. And it's incredibly low in the sky. So with some enhancement, I mean, look, you're not going to have sticks on a cloud. You're just not. And in the background here, too, it's parallel to this one and in the same proximity. So we're looking at the full width of some type of tech. And these 2 sticks are parallel to each other, So I'm going to say this could be multiple separate craft, or this could be one larger craft, and this is like the literal tail end of it. Maybe it's docking, has a ship docked or, supported on the back of it, and this thing can come and go and fly off. Or, this is just the configuration of the ship, and maybe these are little guns or exhaust ports. I don't know, pipes. See what you can see, but I'm definitely saying no natural cloud does this. You don't have, something bending up this way and somewhat perpendicular to other elements for natural cloud formation. It just doesn't happen. So here we're just zooming in on that tail end, and just I'm silhouetting it so you can just see these are sticks, sticking out of this thing. So we're dealing with tech of some type. All right, now we're going to look up west and a little bit west. And what caught my attention here was we do have some kind of rainbow bands, spectrum happening around one part of this. Then we have an object sitting in front of what's supposed to be the sun, but yet there's like a straight line and a jog in here. So there's stuff happening, I think, sky imprints, like this is part of a triangular form in front of what's supposed to be the sun. Then we look over at A, and we have 2 perfect like circles that are symmetrical, and one on each side. So again, where we have symmetry and perfect geometry, we're talking technology in the sky. Here we can just see, these holes a little bit better at 8.1. And then look at the color signatures. So really this beautiful rainbow or spectrum is just really happening in the area of the quote-unquote sun. This white glaring thing is absolutely a sun simulator, solar simulator. Do look at any number of my previous shows where I talk about that and show that more in detail. And also, I do show in one of my earliest shows, copies of patents pulled back in the 60s for solar simulators. So it's definitely something that's been implemented to, kind of go in front of and hijack and cut off our original golden sun, which is somewhere beyond, being veiled by the glare of this thing, and also an extremely dense particulate sprayed in the sky, and has been for decades. All right, that's another topic too. Go see any one of my prior shows about that. And also look around at other Earth and Sky watching channels all over YouTube. You can tell who's genuine, who's really, looking up and documenting this stuff. And have a fun look around. I mentioned some at the very beginning and sporadically through my shows of people that have inspired me back in the beginning, especially around 2018. And there are others, concurrent to now. A lot of great people to go check out. All right now we have, but B.1, we clearly, look at this straight line and coming to a point with like a curve. That's no natural cloud. So right away, that's tech of some kind. I'm going to say that's a cloak and craft sitting in front of what's supposed to be the sun, which is a solar simulator instead. Look at the color signatures. Again, we see what I call plasma kind of clinging around objects. I don't know what this is. Look at this thing. It looks like a face. It could be pareidolia, where there's a mouth, a nose, and two eyes, like a elliptical face. Whatever it is, it's strange, and it's not quite the same character of these bands coming around here. See what you see in this scene, though. Okay, now we're going to just zoom in a little bit, and here we go. And again, we got like two holes and another hole here. So I don't know if that's like an bioorganism, some kind of entity, or if that's just some tech once again. But anyway, you can just see there's a lot of strange stuff going on in the scene. I know it's a little blurred out, but again, look at the color signatures. Why is it cyan in this area? And then we've got that rainbow effect, and then just the, artificial whiteout, all here, which has no shape anyway of a natural sun. What the heck kind of shape is that if it's supposed to be the sun? All right, here we go. We're going to keep looking. This is looking north just after sunset on a different day, I think. Wait, different day, yes. So what was interesting here is it just felt like there was craft in the sky, as I've often said in the past. Sometimes you just feel it out. You just look up and something is there, even if you don't readily see it. Because once again, look how much particulate is all in here. There's no like clear sky. There's stuff hiding all behind that heavily particulate veil, and so anyway, and pardon if I have little stray extra letters. I sometimes just copy paste the letters that's left over. Anyway, I was sensing something felt a little strange also in the light quality and color, everything. So we're going to do an enhancement progression. So we're going to keep enhancing and zooming in a little bit more and more. Over here, there's already like a reddish tone that shouldn't be due north as it is now, Oh, and I didn't update the time. It is 8:30 p.m., not 10:10 a.m. Anyway, we're going to keep looking. So, at 8:13, this is after sunset, but we get a bright burst of this red magenta, which, by the book shouldn't be there. Then we get these masses, which they turn dark, so that tells me there's solid objects in here. We also have this really weird prong effect, like a plug, the prongs on a plug almost, electrical plug. So here we're going to look at this with some sketches. I just did these sketch overlays with my finger on my phone when I zoomed in on this photo, just to try to, sorry about that, going the wrong way, just to try to capture what I'm seeing. So already at 8.2, this looks like a sphere with an opening with like plasma or smoke coming out. It also could be a trail to this thing. This looks like a craft taken off that way, and this could be a trail. Look how it like dog legs. It makes a perfect like curved angle. Again, that's not a natural cloud move. Let me go, keep going the wrong way. Okay, so here we have what I'm going to call craft, these black bodies, okay, up here. And again, these green sticks are more or less parallel. So those two sticks parallel, that ain't natural cloud. Then we got these weird, triangular forms once again, these weird corners. This is like echoing, sorry, my cursor isn't working. This is echoing, this configuration a bit. And so anyway, see what you see. I just I was trying to pick out things. There's also like a triangular form here. This is another one of those things that gets kind of interdimensional. Anyway, see what you see. Okay, then we're going to move on. We're looking west, and this just looks strange. So there's no natural cloud systems that do this. Look at the profile. We got this like weird fringe kind of falling apart, disintegrating kind of effect. And it's what I usually call a puddle cloud, like a tower cloud that usually fan up and go vertical. This one's kind of meandering and doing something weird on the horizontal. And on top of it, this is supposed to be the quote-unquote sun. Once again, it's just a white glare out, so that's not our natural sun, which would be more golden, yellow. And it's far too close to me where I'm taking this picture at. I'm just standing on the ground, and this is way too near, near to where I'm standing. This should be much further out if it were the sun. And it's just the whole scene, nothing about it was natural. So we're going to, do some enhancements on it. Already I see kind of like a triangular imprint. Again, bear with me on my cursor. It's not moving smoothly, my mouse. But anyway, there's some type of triangular imprint in here. Lots of weird little things going on also, like around here, and these weird lines. Look how straight that is. So anyway, I'm suspecting that's an overall craft hiding in here. And we're really going to pay attention to C.1 because this is a very clear, distinct craft, and it's whiter than the rest of all this stuff. It's a totally different scale. It's a craft or an object of some kind. So we're going to zoom in here on that C.2. You can see it has a whole character of its own. But anyway, to me this looks like characteristics of maybe a more massive craft hiding behind here. We have a straight line, which would never occur in natural clouds, and all kinds of strange stuff. So, but for now, let's focus on C.3 because this is all muddied. It's hard to get a real good grasp on what's going on in there. But C.3, we can see this is a clear shape of some kind. I'm going to zoom in and look at this. Looks like a arrow, two angles, straight line coming out, straight stick here, another stick-like form popping up back there. So even though we can't quite see, it's a little bit mappy, we see this thing has shadow around it and enough geometry to it and symmetry in some of these shapes to say we're dealing once again with tech. And I don't know what these little orb-like things are around it, but those are also really curious, right? So anyway, I am definitely calling this advanced technology of some kind up there. All right, now this one gets really weird looking west at sunset. Look at all these different types of clouds, and I'm just standing there doing actually some yard work, and look at this. This thing is starting to go up on an angle on the vertical. It was just popping up out of nowhere, very low, close by, very local, right in the air like that. And then we have these other weird ethereal kind of clouds happening beyond, and they're much whiter and like cyan blue a bit. And they just have a totally different character and quality than everything else happening around it. So there's enough bizarre stuff. I mean, I've never seen a sky where you have a collection of so many different weird clouds, shapes, colors, consistencies, and, different levels of opacity and slightly different, hues, warm and cool tones, all in one scene, all insanely low in the sky, in the same vicinity of each other. And so let's look at this with some enhancement so you can see what I mean. They carry all different color signatures, yet they're all right next to each other. So once again, you look at something like this that's backlit. It's like a, truncated triangular form, pure form. Something weird happening over here with a triangular form over here. And again, why so many different color signatures with burst of white beyond it, right? So it's just really strange. Here I'm blowing out, brightening it up a bit just to try to, again, look at what different forms we're looking at. So D2, that's a more triangular form, and it's got the same coloration as this for some reason. And then we've got these like little hot spots, little triangular form back in here, maybe other little objects in the red, colors. So anyway, it's just a really bizarre scene. I'm coming back to the original because here's the scene I was just showing you, and then 4 minutes later, this is what it was morphing into. So pay particular attention to this A element. I'm going to go back. It started off like this, a little more wide, a little chunkier, we could say. And then we go here, and 4 minutes later, oh, am I going the wrong way again? Sorry about that. So here we are at A, and then 4 minutes later, it's getting really elongated. It's growing in a very strange way. I did include this on one of my shorts, and I played a parody to DJ's Got Us Fallen in Love Again by Usher, and it's a parody all about Minecraft, the video game, and they call this the creeper. I was just calling that like the creeper for tongue-in-cheek fun cloud play in that shorts. But if you're familiar with the video game, yeah, it is just like this was growing into some kind of weird creeper. But how the heck are we having a cloud that does that? That just, again, if you've been on this planet for many decades, you know that's just not possible. And yet we're seeing these things all the time now. And again, insanely low in the sky. So with some enhancement, we start to see some weird, shapes and things emerging. Here there's even like a piece of like a triangular form. So it's hard to say if this is all one craft or if it's multiple different, like that looks like another triangle here. Sometimes I've noticed they seem to travel in a group to form one overall thing to kind of throw you from catching what's really going on. So it could be made up of multiple smaller craft and objects, or this could be one bigger thing, who knows? Or one bigger thing that's carrying and transporting several objects. All kinds of things are possible. And then look at this at the top. Something's just kind of flying up. These are little objects or instrumentations or probes or, whatever, sensors, I don't know, some type of equipment, because they each have their own little vapor trail behind them. It's very strange. All right, now I'm taking the color out, kind of making it monochromatic in the blue range, just to see if we can see anything else in a different way. And those little golden objects now turn pure white, and they still have little vapor trails behind them. And here we start to see we have a triangular form, which looks like a rectangle lifting off from it. So really strange stuff going on here. These look like two pipes that are parallel, and something strange is happening right in here. So anyway, there's tons of weird stuff going on in this scene. See what you can see. And then why is it all like turning white behind all this stuff, between, while these stay a little more solid, right? All right, this is an interesting scene, just looking a minute later, turning around behind me, looking to the east. And then I saw all of this on the other side, and these look like independent craft. Look how parallel they are flying, right? Again, natural clouds this low in the atmosphere in Miami, which is tropical to subtropical weather, just that doesn't happen. I've never seen clouds like this, okay? So here we go. This is why these absolutely look like cloak and craft. And, we see hints of like darker pieces poking out here and there. And here there looks like pipes once again. These are parallel with shadows below them. Those are sticks or pipes. And then up here, there's a lot of weird stuff going on here. Why is this turning bright red, right? Why is that color signature bright red around this object? And again, where you see this kind of tufted look of like cloud sticking to an object, clinging to an object, that's what I'm calling the cloaking material. So anyway, I think we're seeing this kind of coming in and out of state and stuff too, like this coming in and out of state of its camouflage. So see what you see. And here's just another way of looking at it. Look at D.2 now. With this level of enhancement, you see a dark object with a pure pipe form here. So, I mean, come on. Of course, these are cloaking objects of some kind. All right, now this is interesting looking north. What caught my attention was this odd-shaped, like teardrop, shaped thing with, it looks like a cutout, like instead of a vapor trail, it looks like it cut through all of this stuff and made a little trail. And I see once again top of a triangle and weird stuff going on. So we're going to look with enhancement. And not only is this strange, with this kind of cutout path behind it, now this starts to be like two sticks again, here and here. And then we have what looks like the point of a triangle cut out here, an imprint. And what now is interesting is that this, whatever this is like on a projecting up with like a vapor trail that's leaving like a stick-like thing, and another one over here. So these look similar in character, like shooting out vertically, more or less vertically off of this bigger mass. Anyway, it's a really weird scene there. Now we're going to look west, and this whole scene gets really strange. Now this is the original to the cover, believe it or not. So what caught my attention was not only is this artificial, our sun is never white and glaring like that, our original sun, soft, yellow, kind of glow and pulsing gently, ever so gently. This thing is fixed and glares, and as I've said in other shows, flares up really huge so you can't see what's going on beyond it. Or it can go down to the size of a pinpoint at the drop of the hat, and our natural, original sun doesn't do that. Anyway, I'm starting to see a pentagonal shape, around this whole thing. But I'm also seeing this line coming down. And then this ends up turning into be a shaft of light. So let's see this with some enhancement. You see what I mean? You start to see like a shaft of light coming to what's supposed to be, the quote-unquote sun. And anyway, you start to see this corkscrew trail. And that's, what I put on the cover slide. So here we go. With more enhancement, more contrast, I really start to see this vapor trail. I don't know what this is down here, if this is a craft in its own right or something. But up here I start to see a triangular form. So to me, that's a craft. And then look at these stick-like things with shadow to them, coming off what is supposed to be the sun. And then this little pipe thing too, this skinny pipe is now coming toward it, like making a backwards Y shape. So that's not anything coming, that's not like glare beams off of a quote-unquote sun. These are objects. That's like a rolled object, a round pipe, okay? So we're going to zoom in on it, and I don't see too much with this one. I was just trying to get at what is this thing at B.3, but I didn't really get too much more. So then I go to this enhancement and played around the color saturation, and then wow, I still don't know what B.4 is. It looks like a couple of objects maybe docked up together. But then we definitely see like this corkscrew path, and it looks like it has maybe 2 other little triangular objects or 3 in there. But this clearly becomes a symmetrical, like dart-shaped object. I have a sketch overlay of it coming up. And then look how we've got this gold, more yellow signature around this thing. While everything else is magenta or indigo, violet, certainly no other gold yellow. So it's very interesting, what's causing that. So with a little more enhancement, look at this. Again, we got these like sticks coming off of this quote-unquote sun. Maybe a triangular form here on the top of it. And again, this pipe coming in an angle to this one. All very strange. Now I'm taking out that color and turning it again to the blue monochromatic scheme to see if we see anything different. If you are looking at this on a bigger screen like a laptop, you might want to squint your eyes to better see stuff. If you're looking on a smaller handheld device, you'll probably already see this much more clearly. Anyway, we're going to be looking at that 8.6 figure. And we zoom in again. I know it gets a little bit mappy, and I might lose some of you a bit if you're on a bigger screen, but again, squint your eyes. Now, I'm going to toggle back and forth, and of course that golden piece, that's what I see as, sorry about that, as the craft. Okay, so hopefully you see it too, and to me it's clearly a craft shape like that, and then this is the vapor trail happening beyond. Okay, all right, now we're looking at another weird scene at about 8 p.m. looking west. So this is already like after sunset, but it's really bright. A lot of weird stuff going on. This is a partial panorama, so it's a little bit distorted, but you get more or less the idea of what was going on looking in that direction. Playing around with the contrast and the color saturation, and we see like a triangular imprint here, a bigger one over here. So I'm going to say that's a big craft cloaking here as well. I didn't zoom in on this later, but there's also a very rigid object right here. You see kind of reflection points and a straight line with some dark shadow. So there's some other craft. I think actually this is the back end of a pointed craft here. But it also could be a bigger piece here, something stuck onto a bigger triangular craft there. So see what you think. All right, then we're going to just do, a different type of enhancement over here. And we get a totally different picture. So we get, some kind of craft springing off maybe a bigger one. And it looks, like pointed shape. This looks like vapor trails and stuff to me. What's this little skinny line coming over here? Lots of weird stuff happening. I'm going to leave this for you guys to check it out a little bit more in your own time if you like. All right, now we're looking west, and it's not sunset. It's just like 5:30 sunset these days, happening around 8:15-ish. So this is a few hours before sunset. However, we see this huge dark triangle, in the sky So we're going to look at this with some enhancement. Here it is. What gets real interesting is look at this thick plasma, like, clinging around this object. And then look at the different color signatures. This is like a gunmetal gray, a cool gray. And we have like a warm gray, happening in front with whatever that little object is, would look like a vapor trail behind it. And then we have another object that's kind of pseudo-cloaking. We have a straight line with shadow. It's kind of like, triangular shape. So lots of weird stuff going on. You really got to look at the different color, the hues and tints to these things. Something's going on here with 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Maybe some more holes in it along the ridge line of this thing. Really strange stuff going on. Again, this is one definitely that the more you look, the more you're going to find, like what's over here. Very weird stuff going on. Oh, perfect ring-like thing over here with a vapor trail. Looks like the end of a pipe. Well, we have, these little weird things floating around. See what you can see. Okay, this is strange looking north, almost at 8 o'clock. And you can just see these like stripe patterns, right? Alternating with dark shadow and lighter, backlit stuff coming behind it. So we look to the right with some enhancement. That's what we get. So to me, this is a very maybe interdimensional type craft going on. And then I think it's sitting in front of something else with the warmer tone, which is another craft or maybe bioorganism. But look at these weird pipes, those are definitely round openings at the end. So if it's craft, if it's something technological like that, then those, are some type of material like a metal or something. And if it's a bioorganism, I don't know what that would be made of, but it has that feel to it, more of a bioorganism. But again, see what you see. This is a more overall triangular form, but it looks like it has some big pipes at the end of it too. So anyway, look around, see what you can see. All right, here's with a little more enhancement again to look at these roundish, ends of these things. It's really, really strange. All right, and one more view. I didn't realize I did so many. Here's zooming in once again. These kind of weird like pipes. So see what you see. All right, now this is looking west in a parking lot, and actually it's north. It's west-northwest. Again, we have a cutout, sky imprint, and another one back here echoing. We look to the right, we see it better. Those are craft, and it looks like something's towing. It's towing something or something's docking to it, right? This is really weird too. Toward 8.1, we got a perfect circle on that. We got an edge here that's a perfect curve. And we have like these weird little holes in this. So that looks like some type of technological piece, a machine part, like a disc or something, a gear, I don't know. It's really bizarre. So we're going to keep looking. Here's that, that perfect curve. And then we have these like holes in this, like it's like a perforated disc. See what you see. I'm going to look at it one more time here. So perfect curve. And then these weird little holes. So see if you can make sense out of that one. All right, now we're looking south. And here it just caught my attention because I started seeing this triangular imprint. But the more I looked, when we looked to the right, there's also like a bigger triangular imprint. And it just starts to get really dark back in here where it shouldn't, okay? Because we're looking south and it's like 2 p.m. And that's really dark, whatever that thing is, So then we look at left and right. We'll spend our time on the right-hand side. So again, that's really dark, whatever's hiding in there. And these are all like weird little circle things. So this is also like a diamond shape. So to me, there's a lot of weird technology going on there. And even down here, we see the top of like a triangular form. Okay, now we're looking south still. And look at this. These two weird things are supposed to be clouds forming, but they're really low in the sky while this thing's going on above. So this is all artificial. I'm going to say there's craft, cloaking up in here and in here. We're going to zoom in on B.1. Look at this. This is like perfect. It's like a chevron shape, with a shadow, perfectly straight lines with like a hole in it, maybe overall diamond shape. Really, really bizarre. We're going to zoom in on this. Look at this thing. That's the original on the left, and look on the right. Straight lines. This is like a perfect form inside of here. So see what you see. Here I'm just showing it, with a little different, slightly different enhancement. There's a weird object here in the middle too. And then I just did some sketch overlays just to kind of show what could be going on. But again, you see what you see. This yellow one is really interesting. This, again, has a perfect, like incised, like cross lines, almost like a railroad sign, traffic sign with the yellow background and the black X, I think it is. Anyway, it's all really bizarre. It says too much, geometry and symmetry in there just to be a random cloud. That just wouldn't happen. All right, this is looking at nighttime past 10 at night, looking south. And this, I noticed, like this triangular form first, and then I noticed there's like a star-like shape here cut out, and here too. The whole thing was just really weird. So we look at the right, you can see a little bit better what I was seeing. And then, the left, we just see these, again, parallel lines, kind of slightly bowed, but still for more or less, parallel. And then we have these weird little imprints, like cookie cuttered out. That's a star, and then the triangular forms. Really, really weird. And then I can also see like perfect curve this way and perfect curve that way. So that's what these yellow lines are doing. See what you see? Oh, hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. This one gets a lot of fun. This is looking west. And not only was, just seeing this white glare ball that is not the real sun, I'll call it artificial sun, but then we start to see this almost like walnut shaped thing, like a pointed ellipse, just kind of sitting there. It's really weird with like these fingers, And so I thought, yeah, we definitely got to do some enhancement on this. So one little progression up, we still see that pointed ellipse, and it's just kind of sitting there on its own. Here's with a little more enhancement, we really start to see it. And then the more we look at it, it looks like there's a little being in here. So that's like the head and the eyes, with a little shirt on. And that really caught my attention, even more than what's going on that's really crazy all in this overall scene. So I'm going to spend my time looking at that. But again, look at the color signatures. This thing that I'm calling an object is all kind of blue. Well, we've got golden tones, excuse me, beyond it. Other things happening, but they're two very different things going on. So I'm going to brighten it up a bit just to see if we see this little being, see if we can see any more things, any more clues to what I'm calling the craft sitting here. And we also have like a triangular shape with like two curves coming off the back side. So again, that's also some type of craft. Once again, the more you look, the more you're going to see in any one of these photos. So now we'll just go back to what we're calling our little walnut-shaped craft. And look at these things are coming down like with purpose. They have a regularized pattern and spacing. So I really do think this is some kind of little window, and we got a little being with the two eyes and the nose wearing like a t-shirt that's just decided maybe it was sleeping. Maybe that's its sleeping chamber, and it just pops its head up to take a look out at the earth. This thing is insanely low in the sky. So zooming in again, I don't know if you can see it with me. That's like the chin and the head, and then two symmetrical eyes and a nose. And this is like a little t-shirt with a little arm going beyond. So I am going to sketch overlay there to show you what I am seeing, okay? So I definitely see a little being. Is it a case of pareidolia? Maybe. But there's too much to it that even just feels to me like it's a little being looking out a window. See what you see, though. All right, now we are going to this scene, and I knew these were backlit forms, so I said, all right, let's definitely do enhancement. You start to see them a little more clearly. All of these are forms with a little bit of plasma wafting over it, and we'll see it more with a little more enhancement. Here we go. These are, elongated triangles. Another little triangle. Triangular form with like two legs coming behind it, and more triangles here, and a circular form. So those are all rigid geometries saying that there's tech going on. And that's just where I'm flagging it for now. Of course, over here it's part of a bigger form that even looks like an organic form with a tail behind it. But for now, I'm just picking out what I can readily catch. And that's what I see. So those are definitely engineered forms. All right, now we're looking east, and what caught my attention right away is that this is after sunset, and yet we have the reddish signature looking due east. This is no play of what's going on in the west, because in the west it's all like this. You can't even see any color. So it's like a hole that's been punched out, and then we see this, vibrant color. Something's going on up here as far as a craft, but I'm not going to get into that. We're going to focus down here at 8.1 because this is kind of straight and doing its own thing and totally different than character than all of this. So that caught my attention. And now that it's backlit a little bit, we're going to zoom in on this. There's weird stuff here. It's like a diamond shape, really rigid structure here. So something's definitely going on with this overall scene. Here, zooming in just on that little piece, and look at it, it's a symmetrical, albeit a little more kind of bioorganism feel to it, but it's symmetrical, and we've got these like weird little forked tail thing going on in the background. This is too veiled to see what's really going on here, but I just see an overall shape and maybe another little craft here and there. So that's what I'm getting. That's probably a secondary craft. I don't know what's happening in here. But see what what kind of vibe you get and what kind of intuition you get off of this photo. And to me, this pink, it's kind of like kept away from this object. There's a little bit of a force field going around this thing. All right, now, again, weird little opening when we're looking northeast. What the heck is that opening about? Here's a rainbow. But even these rainbows are acting and feeling really strange and very low sometimes in the sky. But what's this hole? Like everything else is gray, what the heck? Something had to have created that, right? So anyway, we're going to look at, this is, doubled image. So this is just taking that hole and, upping and lowering the attributes of the photo. And we start to see like these lines. And so, those are those green lines. And then where we see this, I'm showing like two triangles. This could be overall one big triangle if you look at my cursor. I think now that I look at it, this one big triangle. Anyway, lots of weird little things. This little shape has vapor trail behind it. So again, I'm going to say this is compiled of a lot of different craft. I mean, this one especially, that's a big triangle, right? Hitting that rainbow. So anyway, see what you see in this scene as always. All right, this is a really weird looking tower-like cloud that I call puddle cloud because it comes up and then it spreads out in weird ways. Usually it puddles outward, excuse me, following more of, this curved line. In this case, it's really doing its own thing, kind of like troll doll hair or, some kind of cotton candy that got out of control. Anyway, here we are with some enhancement. We just see what the heck is going on. Look at all the energy in this thing. These things are flying up out of it. To me, these are little cloaking craft around the perimeter. But what the heck are we dealing with? This is so low in the sky. It just, it truly is bizarre. What is that? It's just happening local. It's happening to cover up what's supposed to be the quote-unquote sun, which again is extremely close on this particular day to it couldn't possibly be the real sun. It appears, much closer than usual, even for a fake sun. All right, so now we're looking to the northwest, and we got a lot of different color going on. But what caught my attention is it looked like there's a triangle happening down at B, and this is a weird little thing going on at A. So we look at the right and look at the color variety here, color variation. We got the reds and yellows, and then deeper blue, all backlit with more of a white. It's all really bizarre. We're going to go look at this a little closer, and there's clearly an object down here with the cloaking material covering it a bit. And this is the end of a pipe over here, so lots of weird stuff happening in this scene. And this is just that piece at the bottom, that triangular piece. So we can see there's some kind of triangular form. Yeah, it gets darker here, so something happening up over in here. All right, this gets real interesting looking north. Look how smooth and perfect this line is. And so that told me that's not natural to these clouds that are really low in atmosphere in a subtropical to tropical setting. You're not going to have anything forming like that. There's no cool air. There's not even air movement. So what the heck? That has to be an object. We look to the right. We still see that strong curve, and we see another curve moving in a different direction. So it's almost like this is the top deck or, of a craft, and that's like a satellite dish or some kind of receiving dish at the end of it. That could even be that straight line could be part of like a windshield of the cockpit or something. And then these are little pipes, these are 1, 2, 3, like 4 parallel pipes slammed up next to each other. or that could be like the detailing on the side of a wing poking through. To me, this is absolutely a craft, though, of some type. We're zooming in, and here we go. Once again, that's such a straight line. That could be like the windshield or the cockpit. Perfect curved line, another line curved this way like a dish. That could be some type of satellite or weaponry or location device, I don't know. And then once again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. These are all ends of pipes, all like welded together. So that could be a little peek of that's part of this craft. You'd be the judge on that one. Now we're going to zoom in just to this front piece, just to see if we get any clues. There's weird little bits and pieces on this thing. I don't see too much more, but clearly it's a different animal, like stuck onto this, perfect curve. And it's not a natural cloud. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. This is just an example of one of my spiritual card readings. I sometimes, put those up. In the meantime, it does take time to get these sky shows together. So those are just things I can do rather quickly, and hopefully they're inspiring to you in some way. Or if you just want to stick with the sky shows, that's fine too, whatever you like. So I want to say thanks for connecting here a while. As always, I wish you tremendous peace and love, and do look up, if you're not already, at least 5 minutes a day. Start to notice some patterns and things. You'll be surprised at what you find. So anyway, take care, everyone. Until next time, Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.